Hello, welcome to Business Notes. I'm your host, Diane Bogino. Our guest today is Eric Chester, CSP CPAE. Eric is the premier expert on school-to-work transition and the emerging workforce. As a former teacher and coach turned motivational speaker for millions of students, Eric soon became a highly sought-after speaker for hundreds of leading companies that needed to know how to manage and motivate post-generation Xers. Eric is the founder and CEO of Reviving Work Ethic, a speaking, consulting, and training firm dedicated to helping leaders end entitlement and restore pride in the emerging workforce. With work ethic being a primary concern for today's employers, Eric frequently appears on national media to provide insight and perspective to business leaders and concerned adults. He authored the books Employing Generation, Why, and Getting Them to Give a Damn before writing his latest book, Reviving Work Ethic, A Leader's Guide to Ending Entitlement and Restoring Pride in the Workforce. This is the first business book on work ethics since 1904. Eric is also the founder and CEO of the Bring Your A Game to Work initiative, a comprehensive work ethic training and certification program for teens and young adults. Eric and his wife Lori are parents of 4 Generation Y aged young adults and live in Golden, Colorado. Eric, thank you for being with us tonight.
Appreciate that, Diane.
So Eric, the title of your newest book, not your first, but you've written about 8 books actually.
That's right.
Yeah, is Reviving
Work Ethic. Yep, it's the first book on work ethic in over 100 years.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what that book is about.
Well, I've worked with youth all my adult life, and I've been working with companies and organizations that look at youth as the front line of their workforce, whether that be in retailing or restaurant industry, whether that be in amusement parks, hospitality, or even those high-tech companies that are kind of thinking ahead. And many employers really are very frustrated with the emerging workforce in terms of their work ethic. And so I looked for a resource, couldn't find one, and decided it was time to write one.
Wow, good for you. I know a lot of people will be looking for that one. So now you've got a training certification program entitled Bring Your A Game to Work. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, again, it's based upon the philosophy that you and I learned to work when we were young people growing up. Our parents taught us, gave us our work ethic, and what we didn't learn at home, maybe we got at school. Today's parents are more concerned that their kids are healthy, happy, and have a high self-esteem. And schools are more concerned with the test scores of their students than they are their success after they graduate. So I created a program that would teach kids the values that they needed to have moving forward in not only their first jobs, but for the rest of their life. And it's based upon the same 7 fundamental values that every employer demands, wants to hire, and will fight to keep those kind of people.
How do you work with educators to help give students the edge they need to go to work today?
Well, the first thing is educators have a tremendously difficult job in today's day and age. Schools are not the same places that they were years ago. The students have changed, parents have changed, and schools now need to, they're worried about student safety and all kinds of issues that weren't the case many years ago. So my program basically helps educators instill the values by rather than a curriculum that's focused on an adult with a finger in the face, telling kids they better do these things or else. It kind of teaches the kids that when you win at work, you win at life. So it's an inside backdoor approach using peer-to-peer guided videos and all kinds of various curriculum methodology.
And how do you also work with corporations on their recruiting efforts?
Well, before the economy took a dip, most companies and organizations were really challenged finding young employees, good young talent. So there was a real war on for finding and keeping good talent. Now, of course, we've seen over the past 3 years, with the recession being what it is, that the good news for employers is that that they probably have more applications than they know what to do with. But finding good talent is still a challenge. Finding people that that are ready to show up every single day and do the job and follow instructions and all those kinds of things that they really want, that is difficult. So I do work with companies and organizations and teach them how to hire right, looking again at young people, a completely, totally different set of interview questions and recruiting methodology.
Just a few hints on how we can connect with the younger generation.
Well, I tell you, the first thing is don't look at them as younger versions of yourself, Diane. You got to realize that this generation is different. They haven't reinvented Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but they've kind of tipped the triangle on its edge. How they go about getting those things has people raising their eyebrows a little bit. So understand when they're in your audience, Years ago, you could just count on being, having younger members of the audience that might just sit and politely listen to you. Now they need to be entertained. Now they need to be engaged. They don't want just a talking head. They want someone who's telling them the truth, that's factual, that has lived a life of adventure, so that they're not just talking about their theoretical concepts, but has done something and is there with not only solid content that's going to help them change their life, but also a delivery that is very entertaining.
Why is it important for these students and employers to work with you on this philosophy that you have?
Well, again, if you do what you've always done, you'd think that you're going to get what you've always gotten, but that's not the case. If you do what you've always done, you're going to be out of business. So you really have to look at the way that you're approaching everything that you do in business, as well as from a speaker's perspective, in terms of how you're connecting and saying, am I using speech material? Am I using stories and things that I used 5-10 years ago, just trying to brush them up and pass them off? It's time to raise your game all the way around. Don't be afraid of the feedback that you get, especially from the youngest members of your audience, whether the youngest members are teenagers or whether they're 25 or 30, and find out what they think about the way that you're delivering your material and your content. Don't be afraid of the criticism, and continually trying to improve what you do.
Eric, thank you so much for being with us this evening.
Thank you, Diane, for having me. My pleasure.
We've been speaking with Eric Chester, speaker, trainer, consultant, and expert on Gen Y. I'm Diane Bogino. Thank you for joining us on Business Notes, bringing you business ideas you can bank on.